Amazing.
Oh, yeah, the deer.
Yeah, saw those go up actually.
All right. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool, man. What's going on?
You guys a Lions fan, eh?
That's right. Hey, this Detroit represent. Let's go.
I'm a huge Packers fan. Brett Favre was my guy. Brett Favre was like my favorite athlete as a child. Woo, that's tough.
Brett Favre is he became my favorite quarterback, especially when he had that dick pic scandal. I was like, dude, that's my dude. Like, he's sending dick pics to these young cheerleaders. That's my dude.
Yeah, he's a different dude. My dad used to tell me stories too. Like, he used to get caught with like stupid amounts of Tylenol. Nobody's understanding why this guy has like 12 bottles of Tylenol in his bag.
Sure. I can give you a couple hints, but
been a tough season for those Lions for sure.
It's a tough season every season, man. I'm used to it. You know, it's deer season. It's something to try to drown my sorrows with a couple cold ones every time the Lions. Like, man, shit, I'm matching. Look at this shit. Oh shit, let's go.
Oh, damn.
My love right here.
See, now, you know what? I wore an Austin 316 shirt for you.
Let's fucking go.
Now I feel like I should have worn a Packers sweater.
No, man. Austin 316 is Stone Cold Steve Austin, I feel, is the reason I'm in the position I am today, dude. That's my idol.
Oh, my God. Yeah, this guy was my life. My entire birthday parties were based around him. It was amazing.
Dude, yes. I genuinely – Steve Austin is one of the reasons why I'm in MMA this year at 31 years old, man. I used to watch him when I was 8, 9, 10, 12. And he got me into wrestling, which led to middle school wrestling, to high school wrestling, to college wrestling, transitioned to MMA, man. So, yeah.
That's crazy. That's going to be one of my questions for you, and you lined it up right away.
That's right off the get. Let's go.
Right?
All right, so, Suraj, should we dive right into this?
Yeah, man. Get it going.
Cool if I just drop a little intro, Justin?
Yeah. Do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
Absolutely. All right. So, welcome to a special segment of the Vet, the Casual. We are honored to have Mr. Justin Jaynes on board. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it for sure.
Hey, no worries. Sorry it's taken so long to hook up. I really appreciate you guys having me and staying on me. That first week after the fight, I kind of blew all the podcasts off, and this week I'm finally feeling better about my life, and let's knock it out, man.
No worries. It's our pleasure. Thank you again for taking the time. We understand fight time can be busy, especially post-fight, but we appreciate you taking the time.
For sure.
One of the things that we kind of wanted to jump in right away, speaking with that Austin 316 T-shirt, is, give us a little bit of your wrestling experience, kind of what drove you into the MMA, what inspired you, that kind of stuff.
Well, I wrestled in middle school, and then I wrestled in high school, and then I wrestled at Olivet College for 4.5 years. And Darren Cruikshank was my
wow,
in college.
Cool, that's crazy. That's old school UFC fighter.
Old school, yeah. We used to. He's in Ryzen right now. We slowly transitioned because he was a senior when I was a freshman.
That makes sense.
So we transitioned there. But when I first got into wrestling in middle school, I thought when I saw wrestling on the sport board that it was like WWF, and I thought I was going to be like Steve Austin in a ring. After going to my first practice, I realized it wasn't like that, but I fell in love with it right away. And, again, Steve Austin is the reason I'm here. I mean, that's the whole point of why I went to that practice. Obviously, after the first practice, second practice, I realized it's not the same. But again, I really fell in love with it, and amateur wrestling took over my life.
Oh, that's awesome. The Rock was my boy, but I couldn't help but root for 316 himself. So,
dude, I thought that was one of the, and I still to this day think that's one of the best rivalries of all time.
By far.
Agreed.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's amazing because for me, like, that was all childhood. Then all of a sudden, because I was a boxing fan as a kid, but then MMA just got so popular. And it's funny you mentioned your wrestling career, because I wanted to ask you a question. You were really young when you fought Drakkar Klose in that state championship. Then 2 years later, you're at a kid. It's just like, at that age, what was it like, 2 year span, fighting state championships in wrestling, having a kid? Like, what's that even like? How's Benjamin doing anyway?
He's doing really well, actually. He turns 12 in 2 weeks. He's here with me right now.
Beautiful.
But it was a really tough transition, honestly. Me and Drakkar faced, I was 57-0, he was 55-0. 2007 state finals, and we got put on the same side of the bracket. I think I was ranked second in the state. He was ranked fifth in the state. He was first in the state. He was ahead of me because he had won a state championship 2 years prior. He took second the year before, and then he took second that year as well. But we got put on the same side of the bracket, man. And I watched film, and that's just a tough dude. I think it's really cool to see that we're both in the UFC now, and I see him all the time, you know. And every time we talk online, and you know, I think that would be a great, fun matchup for the UFC. He lost his last fight. You know, I think I'm a little bit behind him right now. You know, he's had a couple more fights than I have. Not many though, you know, but I rack off 2-3 wins in a row. You know, we might have a 2007 state championship rematch coming up here. And it's not personal. I like Drakkar. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think that he's much more athletic than I am, but I'm pretty tough and I hit pretty hard. And I think it'd be a slobber knocker. I think it'd be a great fight. Plus, he ruined my childhood dream of becoming a state champ wrestler. I'd love to punch him in the face 15 years later.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, that'd be beautiful.
It's like Cobra Kai, like 10 years later, man.
Yeah. Like the new exactly. It's like how they came out with the new that'd be the same. And what a great backstory. And again, it's not like a bad blood thing. It's not like I fucking hate Drakkar Klose. Like, listen, I was trying to beat him. He was trying to beat me. We see each other. We always laugh. And I say, "Oh, motherfucker, I'm gonna punch you in the face for taking my state championship for 1 year." And he laughs. And he's a fucking super cool dude. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. Like I said, I like the guy a lot. I'm a fan of Drakkar Klose. I would love to get in there and mix it up with him one day.
That's amazing.
We would love to see it too. What a storyline that would be.
Do everything we can to help you pro with that one, that's for sure.
Yes.
So kind of, you know, working off of that, you know, we're all kind of reaching that post-30 age now. We're 33-year-old men trying to create a podcast here. So, you know,
sure.
If there was something you could ask or tell yourself, maybe your 20-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, as you were entering the game with the wisdom that you have now, is there anything that kind of stands out to you there?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of things I wish I would have done differently coming up. But inevitably, the thing that I would reiterate to myself the most is what I did reiterate to myself. I just wasn't sure at the time, is just not giving up, man. Like, MMA is a tough sport. And there's a lot of times, especially after a loss. I lost to Jesse Gross a couple years ago. I lost to another really Tommy Aaron. And all these times that, you know, I wanted to give up because I was like, fuck, I'm never going to be able to bounce back from this. And, you know, when I'm looking in the dark, when I'm depressed, after I lost to Jesse Gross. So I had a first round knockout in Bellator. Then I took a short notice fight against Jesse Gross, and I lost a split decision. And I just didn't think I was going to bounce back from it. I tried to retire. I had a couple friends talk me out of it, you know. And, you know, I guess if I had to say anything to my past self, or, you know, if I knew, just say the same thing I did say, is just don't give up. Just keep grinding away, man. And, you know, I set out in 2007. I had a goal to get in the UFC and, you know, to put my stamp on. And I believe I did that June 20th of, you know, this year. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had a couple hardships, you know, leading past that. You know, Gavin Tucker, who I think is going to be ranked in the top 15 at featherweight. Mm-hmm. I almost finished him the first round. That's the first time I've cut to featherweight. You know, that was tough. And this last fight, man, that's the best I've ever felt, best I've ever looked. And I just got caught, man, you know. And there's been times where I lost to Jesse Gross or Tommy Aaron. And so I go home, I look at the drawing board, and I could have done A, B, and C different. I could have trained harder. I could have dieted better. I could have done this to change the outcome. My last loss, you know, to Gabriel Benitez, I wouldn't change a thing. It's the sharpest I've been, the most mentally tough I've ever been. I felt perfectly physically. I felt in better shape than I've ever been. I just got caught, man. And when I went home that night, I really thought, like, what could I have done different? And I really couldn't. He just, you know, he landed his shot. It was a devastating shot. It's the most devastating shot I've ever taken. I've been kicked in the head, knee in the face, nose broken. And honestly, that shot it felt like I was paralyzed for 30 seconds. I couldn't move. So, you know, on to the next, man. I still got another fight left in my contract. This is a must win for me now. So my strategy might change up depending on who I'm fighting. You know, here's the problem I had. June 20th, when I fought Frank Camacho, I knocked him out in 30 or 40 seconds. I got a $50K bonus. I got $30,000 for winning plus the $50K. So almost $90,000 with sponsors and all. I got addicted to that, man. And, you know, I've kind of gotten away from my wrestling. I've kind of gotten away from my grappling. I stopped throwing kicks because when you have that 40-second addiction of winning $100,000, you want to do that every time. I'm never going to get a $50,000 bonus from taking guys down and subbing them or, beating them up. Like Khabib I think he's a great fighter, but honestly, it's just kind of boring and lulls people to sleep. I want fast pace. I want hard knockouts. And that's what I've been doing these last 2 fights I lost. Unfortunately, this 4th fight that I have to change my game plan, and I have to fight to win now instead of just fighting for excitement.
So actually, I do have some questions, I guess, on the fight side since we brought it up. So, I mean, I actually think your record in the UFC is a little misleading here with that 1 and 2, because like you said, Frank Camacho, we saw, proper weight cut, lightweight. We saw what you can do. One thing we kind of find is with fighters when they get to the UFC, sometimes either it's like the diversity of fighters in the weight class or whatever it may be, but at featherweight, even with the short notice, like I thought you looked really good against a fighter, like you said, who could actually be ranked in the top 15 very soon. So I kind of for the first thing I thought of was like, hey man, I mean, even in terms of like size, skill, like everything really could line up for you at featherweight. Is that 145 something you'd explore? Quick thing I have to tell you, by the way, is Wikipedia usually tells you when a fighter makes their debut at a weight class. So right now, we should maybe let them know because Gavin Tucker's listed as just a lightweight loss. Technically, it's a short notice / like cut at featherweight. So it's your featherweight debut and it's a loss. So might want to get them checked on that.
I made weight at 145 against Gavin. It's just to get that clear. My last fight against Gabriel, I requested it featherweight, but here's the thing. Not the Benitez, the Tucker fight was tough, man. Like I beat Frank Camacho June 20th. I came home for 2 weeks because I want to spend time with family and friends and enjoy this moment. This is the best moment of my life. And I was at the bar, and I remember it was the weekend after 4th of July, and I'm drinking a beer, and my manager calls me like, hey, we got a matchup for you in 3 weeks. And I was like, all right, cool, let's fucking do it. He's like, it's at featherweight against Gavin Tucker. And I'm like, But here's the thing. I told Sean Shelby, I told Dana White, I told the UFC, I'll make weight no matter what, and I'll show up and I'll knock everybody out. Well, I made weight, and that first round I felt okay. The second round, dude, I was so – I weighed 178 pounds when I got back to Vegas. I dieted and cut weight for 3.5 weeks. I made weight. And, I'm not making any excuses because Gavin is a tough motherfucker. And I know I can beat him. Am I going to beat him every time? Absolutely not. Dude, that guy's a fucking monster. But the Justin Jaynes that you saw was not the Justin Jaynes that was in there my last fight. I felt so much better in my last fight. I just got caught. If that last Justin Jaynes was in there against Gavin Tucker, I think the fight would be a lot different. Unfortunately, because of the weight cut, I just didn't have the gas tank, man. I cut 35 pounds in 3.5 weeks, or 33 pounds in 3.5 weeks, man. It was too hard on my body.
And that's the thing about cutting weight. I know Pies has a bunch of questions about that because he's kind of been obsessed about it. But that's the thing. I felt like you, even with that little bit of time, you made weight with ease. And I feel like that's a wrestler thing. Since I was young, like I always noticed, like the guy with the wrestling background, for some reason, maybe it's because you're taught so young, but like that cutting weight is just it's a different process for the wrestlers. John Fitch, when I was really young, was one of those guys that kind of really made it popular in terms of a process. So I know he had a bunch of things he was going to bring up, but yeah, man, like I just kind of had the feeling that, proper training camp at featherweight, I think, some of the guys that left hook could be landing really tough, really easy. So I don't know. I thought you looked really good, man, until that last round. And like you said, getting caught's getting caught, and that's the game.
It's the thing is this right now is I've fought 3 times in 5 months. The UFC knows I'll fight anybody, anytime, any weight. All I'm asking for now going forward, because now my career's in jeopardy now because I lost twice in a row, is that just give me a full camp. The longest camp I've had to train is 3 weeks. Like, I'm one of my training partners, Gustavo Lopez. He fought in November, and now his next fight is already scheduled for March. He's getting 13 weeks to train. And they're calling me of, hey, will you fight in 2 weeks? Hey, will you fight in 3 weeks? I'd appreciate a full camp so I can get my diet down where I can really be myself, and I know, unfortunately, the shitty part about the situation I'm in now is I'm going on the last fight of my contract. This is do or die for me, because I could, just like this last fight, I felt great. It's the best I've ever looked, the best I've ever felt, and I got caught. That could happen in my next fight. So unfortunately, I'm not going to get really many chances. I'm hoping that I get a full camp for this, March or April, go in there, knock somebody out, at least get back on the winning track and extend my contract 4 fights.
Yeah, and we're rooting for the same thing here, man. We want to see more Justin Jaynes for sure. So, we're hoping that works.
I had when I knocked Frank out, I changed my fight style to fuck. I want 50 grand every time now. I'm just swinging for not Hail Marys, but swinging big punches. I want to knock everybody out. But, you know, as I'm going to my fourth fight in my contract, right now winning is more important than that 50 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of tying into that cutting process, you know, you are no stranger to that cutting process. You fought in different weight classes and stuff like that. As, you know, somebody who's kind of engrossing themselves more recently into the UFC and MMA, do you mind just giving me a little bit more information on how that process goes? Is it as grueling as, you know, it's made out to be in public? Is it worse or is it better? Kind of would love to get your take on it.
So cutting weight is the number one thing in the whole world that I hate more than anything.
Okay.
I've almost retired my career in the tub at least 3 or 4 different times. When I fought Gavin Tucker, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Wow.
I quit. You know what? And I want to give a shout out to my coaching staff, Roman Isbell, Dennis Davis, Mike Conflitti was there helping me through the whole thing. So I weighed about 160 pounds the night before I fought Gavin. After I started, tell me about it. After I started losing weight, I woke up the next morning. We started our weight cut at 11 p.m. I cut weight from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Or no, maybe it was 1 a.m. And I lost like 14 pounds. It was. You know what? No, excuse me. I'm gonna retract my statement. I was 155 pounds or 156 when I started. So I cut weight for 2 hours and I got within 2 pounds. I was 148, and Roman's like, "Hey, we're just gonna sleep this off and we'll finish it in the morning." I was like, "All right, bet." We wake up at 6 a.m. I'm 2 pounds over. We're like, "All right, let's put the sweats on." So we do the exact same thing, 2 hours. I get out. And I'm like, and Roman, my coach, is like, "Dude, you're on weight. And I'm like, "I hope so." I step on, I'm still a pound over. And I'm like, fuck, my mentality is, I like almost start crying. It's like, I feel like death. Like, I mean, it's fucking terrible. And he's like, "Well, I know you're tired. You know, let's get in the tub and get this last pound off in the tub." I was like, "All right, bet." So I jump in the tub. I sit for an hour, and he's sitting with me because if he's not there, I'll get out. I get claustrophobic. I get anxiety. So he's sitting on the toilet, I was in the tub. I sit for 45 minutes or an hour. I roll out of the tub, and I'm fucking dead. I can't walk. They have to wait for me to cool down to get my breath back. And sorry, I keep getting phone calls. I'm laying on the ground. They're trying to help me up, and they're like, "Oh, dude, you're on. Like, you're done. Like, you're fucking done." I was like, "All right, bet." So I step on the scale. I lost 0.2. So I was 0.8 over. It's already past 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock's the weigh-ins. And Dennis is like, "You need to fucking man up and get this shit done." I start crying, like, I fucking can't anymore. And he's starting to like push me around and slap me around a little bit, trying to get me pissed. And I put my sauna suit back on. And Dennis says, "We're gonna grapple for 30 minutes straight." And I'm crying, bro. Like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. He throws me on the mat. I have anxiety. He's like, "Punch me, motherfucker!" Like it was the hardest thing in my life. I walk downstairs. I step on the scale, 146.2. And I'm like, "No, I'm done. I'm fucking done." And Dennis is like, "All right, this last 0.2, here's a can. You need to spit. And keep spitting in it." And that's how I lost the last 0.2, and I weighed in at 146.0.
Holy fuck.
It was the worst experience in my life. The older I get, the harder the weight cuts are getting, man. And that was fucking the hardest thing.
Dude, I can't believe you even went to the third round in that fight, dude.
It was terrible. When I was warming up in the back, I couldn't get a sweat going. And again, I'm not making excuses. I don't want you or people to think that.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
I lost. Like,
not at all.
It was fucking tough. I'll send you some videos. So Dennis videoed a lot of my weight cut.
Please, dude. My own
just
personal.
To show you how much energy I didn't have.
That's crazy, man. I think like this has been like a lifeblood for me long enough that I would never consider it an excuse. But getting that story firsthand, I think I'll cherish this moment for potentially the rest of my life. Like that's insane.
Like I said, I'll send you some videos. I'll send you some short 10-second videos of me cutting weight, and you'll be like, "What the fuck? This guy is fucking he's a zombie." There's a lot of times where I'd close my eyes and just think in my head, like, just go through the motions,
Yeah.
and try to get it done. And that's what we did, man. And because my coaching staff, again, Roman Isbell, Dennis Davis, we got it done.
Man, all the power to you. I can only imagine the mental toughness it takes to kind of fight through that and keep your spirits up while you're just feeling miserable. So all the power to you there, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
All right. So, that kind of dives us into, a more personal segment that we wanted to touch on with you. We know, kind of the story with your father. He is battling cancer. We are praying, he gets better soon. We know he was kind of in your corner, and that was a great moment for you. Kind of tell us a little bit more about that. How was it kind of having him there?
I loved it, and as irritating as it was at some points, because he doesn't know fighting. He doesn't understand weight cut. He doesn't understand diet. So like the night before, we're watching a movie and he's like, "Hey, I think you should probably get in the tub tonight," or "Hey, I think you should do this." And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I know what I'm doing. Shut the fuck up and sit in the third seat. And that's what I'm thinking in my head. And obviously I'm trying to because keep in mind, I'm hungry, I'm irritable, and and I know he means well, he means best, like he's just trying to help me, but listen, I know what I'm doing, just shut the fuck up. So there was a couple times to where I'd snap at him or I'd get irritated, and I apologize after the fact because I genuinely felt bad because again, he just wants to help me, and he can see how hard this is on me and how hard it is for me. But honestly, going back to the mental preparation of the fight is honestly between us three and everyone else watching, I didn't think there was a possibility that I could lose that fight. I was in the back. I had no nerves. My warm-up was great. My stretch was great. I'm thinking in the back, it's like my dad's here. Who knows how many more fights he's going to see, let alone live. I have a perfect weight cut. My coaching staff is perfect. Everything is too perfect. Nothing can go wrong. And it's MMA, and something went wrong. And you know what? After I was ashamed almost after I lost, walking back, like there's a lot I regret still in the fight. And I don't mean the fight itself, but I wish I would have took a second, even in that loss, and kind of hugged my dad in the cage a little more or something, because after I lost, I just want to get out and get back to the back room. I wish I would have stayed in the cage a little longer and let him enjoy it a little more, because at the end of the day, my dad doesn't care that I lost. He cares that I'm healthy and I'm happy and I've achieved all my goals. And, in retrospect, I wish I would have stayed in the cage and got some more pictures with him, because that's my biggest regret is I didn't get a single picture with him in the cage.
Oh, man.
Because I was so bummed out and I just wanted to get out of the cage. This is emotional for me to talk about. But looking back at it right now is, I had it all envisioned that, when Herb Dean or whoever the ref was, Mark, was going to raise my hand, I was going to raise my dad's hand, and it was going to be this big thing. And when that didn't – what's that?
I said I got shivers all over my body.
Yeah, man. And this is how I envisioned it. I genuinely thought there's nothing he can hit me with that's going to put me out, because I've never been knocked out in a fight, and let alone put down with a body shot. So, like I said, I fucked up, man, and I should have let my dad enjoy that moment a little bit more. I'm hoping that he's healthy enough for my next fight, because I'd love to do a redo. I'd love to have him there when I win, and I really want – I win or lose, I would do a lot different. Like I said, I'd like to get more – I didn't get a single picture with him in the cage. He came into the cage as Gabriel's hand was getting raised. I saw him, and I was embarrassed. Like, I thought he was – my initial thought is I thought he was disappointed, and I'm sure he was, but not how I thought he was. Obviously he wanted me to win, but I think he was just so happy to be there. And there's a lot I would do different. When I look back, I regret a lot of that fight.
And, we really appreciate you sharing that story with us. That is, a really touching moment. And your dad, I'm sure, is nothing but proud of you in that moment. It's hard to control your emotions. I can only imagine what you're going through, as losing that fight, wanting to kind of make your dad proud and know that he was proud. Right. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard to say, "Oh, I'm proud of a loss." The thing is, I thought initially, like when I got finished and I got he got his hand raised, I feel that he would feel the same way I felt. You know what I mean? Like, so disappointed, and but he didn't. He felt the polar opposite to me, and he expressed that to me time and time again. And every time I talk to him on the phone, he talks about it. How happy he was and how he this and that. And honestly. I'm hoping that I can get a quick turnaround here. There's a couple injuries I want to get taken care of over the next couple months, but hopefully he's in good enough health. I'd love to have him in my corner again. And win or lose, there's a lot I'd like to change about how I acted after.
And honestly, it sounds like you took away a lot more than just like the fight game from that fight. And let's be honest, from what you learned, I mean, I think it's going to help you with raising Benjamin as well, with that whole father-son relationship. So be happy about that side of things. And going back to my original statement, like I said, your UFC record is hella misleading. You're taking on, just so everybody knows, like Gabriel Benitez fights out of AKA in San Jose. Like that's your Daniel Cormier, that's your Khabib. Doesn't fight very often. It's widely known his kicks are ridiculous. His knees are ridiculous. And frankly, like that's who his third fight was in the UFC. So, I mean, it happens.
Yeah, he's been in the UFC since 2014.
Yeah.
So he's been around the block.
Hundo.
You know, he's like fucking, he has like 4 or 5 fight of the night bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's a tough guy, man. I wish I would have took it a little different. I just wanted to knock him out so bad because my dad was there. And, I just wanted that 50K. And how cool would it have been to have my dad there, get a knockout, and that's all I could think about in my head. And looking back, retrospect, hindsight's always 20/20. But like I said, with my performance, I wouldn't change anything. I just got caught. But with how I acted after the fight, I wish I would have acted a little differently.
And that's the big thing to take away, man.
For sure. And so, kind of leading off of that, I had one more question regarding that. It is a very unique career that you've kind of embarked in. Fighting is a very dangerous game in itself. Did you have that support from your friends and family from the get-go?
Well, so when I had my first fight in 2007, I had it at a bowling alley in a ring, and I called my dad first, and we had actually an accidental death in the family the week of my amateur debut. My niece, who was just a baby, she wasn't a baby, she was a toddler. She got run over by a car in a driveway. That the week of my amateur debut. So my mom was super emotional about it, and obviously, as my whole family was. But I needed somebody to sign off on the waiver because I was only 17 years old. So I called my dad. I told him what I wanted to do, and he hesitated briefly. And he was okay. Tell me what I need to sign and where we need to go. And and that's what my mom didn't support me very much at first because moms don't support sons when they decide to do an MMA career. I don't know why. And I don't want to say not support, but she was concerned. She was worried. She thought it was dumb. Obviously, she's on full board. My closest friends always have supported me. Adam Sadrowski, Scott Coleman, Darren Cruikshank. I shouldn't have even named guys because I know I have 100 supporters that people are, you didn't say me, but it's these guys have supported me from day one. Since I got in the UFC, I've had a lot of bandwagoners jump on and say, "Oh, we've been friends this whole time." It's whatever, man. But I know who my true supporters are, and my family supported me all the way to get to the UFC.
And it's so funny because, like, as on right before, it's like I gotta ask this guy what it's like to tell your parents, "Hey, guess what, guys? Like, I really want to be a UFC fighter." And funny enough, like, we're sitting here thinking, like, can we compare it to something? It's like, honestly, I mean, if you were like a porn actress or something, you had to go to your parents and be like, "Hey, listen, like, if you want to do something really, out there," it's just like, yeah, it's a lot of pressure on them, and they got to support you in whatever you choose. And I mean, you know what, man? I think you've been killing it. I think you're taking only tough fights to the UFC, and with that 4th fight, and you're going to give it your all, and hopefully give you a full camp because, like, for 2020, you've been just killing it, man.
Thanks, man. Like I said, I really appreciate that. And I talked to my manager the other day, and as much as we want a full camp, as soon as I see somebody get hurt, I'm jumping in, motherfuckers, and I'm hoping that they take that into consideration. It's like this guy's ready to go all the time. He shows up every time, and I'm not rolling over in fights. Like Gavin Tucker's a top 15 guy, I think. And I took it to him. I dropped him in the first round. I almost finished him with the guillotine. I won the first round. He won the second round. He finished me in the third. But hey, give me a full tank of gas. That might be a different story.
It was actually something we brought up on our podcast earlier, but it's actually fairly obvious that even Gavin kind of chose to fight here in Canada for the most part. So even for him, I think he's kind of coming onto the scene much later. So the only reason why, people might not know about him so much, because I think he's only fought a couple times in Vegas for how long he's been around. So that's probably something people don't even know either. You're taking on a lot of veterans in the UFC as you kind of make your own way. So, kudos to you, man. They've been amazing fights so far.
I appreciate you, honestly.
Perfect. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on, Suraj?
Well, it's funny because, like, we touched on that nickname, and both of us had the same question. So we just wanted to finish off with, like, Guitar Hero. Tell us about this.
It's a college name, man. Back in my early stage of, amateur fighting, I was a wrestler, and I would just take guys down and look for rear naked chokes. And honestly, looking back, and I knew at the time I was boring. And Darren Cruikshank told me, he's like, dude, you're winning all your fights, but they're so boring. So until I found that boxing with Kara Rowe and James Lee and, working with Darren for kickboxing, I would try to find gimmicks to get guys excited about watching me fight. So I'd do like funny walkout shows. Like I'd take my guitar and I'd dram it all the way to whatever song I was walking out to, and I'd dance and try and get the crowd into it. And, the Guitar Hero was one of them. I was the Jedi before, where I wore this big hood over my head and came out to like the antagonist Star Wars theme song, and I was the Karate Kid before, where I wore a gi with a headband, big aviators.
I love this.
Everyone kung fu. So it's this is what I used to do. So it's actually funny. In 2013, when I turned pro, I was like, all right, I'm all business now. I'm not doing any more of these gimmicks. I'm knocking everybody out. Like, let's go. So I stopped doing it, and then in June, Bruce Buffer, they asked prior, like, hey, do you have any nicknames? I'm like, no, I'm Justin Jaynes. And then I'm looking at Bruce, and he's like, the Guitar Hero. I was like, oh shit!
No way.
That's amazing.
I didn't know that they were gonna announce that. I haven't been called the Guitar Hero since probably 2011, and I had no idea they were gonna announce me as the Guitar Hero. I swear on my life, I had no idea, and I told them not to, and they did anyways, and now I'm the Guitar Hero. So let's go.
It's funny because, we could never guess that was the story. It's such an amazing story, dude. And, the Huwa brothers made it popular in Pride. Mayhem Miller tried to make it popular over here, man. I say give it a shot again. It's the wrestler in you, do it for Austin.
Yeah, that's true. And yes, that would be great, man.
Hopefully your dad can be on the side tossing you some beers into the ring.
Yeah, if I start smashing let's go. Hell yeah.
I love it. Get a vest for him and everything. UFC branded. Let's go. We'll get you a little Lions logo, maybe like really small, like really tiny up here the corner up here.
I was thinking about making a T-shirt, so I don't have like an official T-shirt right now. And I thought about keeping it simple and just changing the shirt you're wearing to Justin 316, and that's it.
That's beauty. Get that for the next fight. Do it.
I think that'd be badass.
We'll be the first purchasers of that for sure.
God damn it.
Where I see it, if Bryce Mitchell can get camo shorts, you can get a Justin 316 shirt.
I mean, what else do these guys want? I'm coming to put exciting shows on. Let me put a show on,
I agree, man.
Absolutely. So it's been a pleasure having you on, man. Anything else you want to kind of get off your chest or discuss with us?
No, not really, man. I think we hit everything on the head, man. I really appreciate you guys having me. Sorry I've been delayed. I've been traveling.
Not at all.
And I took a step back from MMA for a couple of weeks, and but now I'm ready to go, and I'm back in a good mood. And I appreciate you guys having me, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah, man. I hope you get that full camp and, keep it going, man. You're absolutely killing it. And that left hook got you that WXC title. So, just keep it going, dude. Keep it going.
Yes, sir. You got it, man.
Absolutely. And enjoy your time with your family over the holidays, man. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Tell Benjamin we said what up.
Yeah, I will. And when I book my next one, I'd love to come on and talk to you guys about it.
I appreciate that. We'll keep you in mind every time, man. Appreciate that, Justin. Take care.
I appreciate you guys. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later.
Take care, man.